Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having a fantastic day. We're taking a look here at SEI, see what's going on. As we can tell, it's been maybe a week or two since I last took a look at this here. Still in a bearish type of scenario, so we're going to talk about what may or may not need to happen next in order for the price action to break out. We're going to identify some key level resistances and supports based on previous trends and kind of go from there. So we can see this pretty obvious one here at about 33.7, looking to be a new resistance for us. So we'll look at the backend data as well, kind of see what's up and go from there. And if you are new to the channel, maybe you've been watching for a while, deeply appreciate all the support. Thank you to everyone who has been super supportive lately. I had the last 3 days off because we were at the hospital with my son. It was a good thing, obviously. The birth of a child is quite amazing. So thanks again for everyone for the wonderful the compliments, the feedback, everything, and just your patience too. Really appreciate that. So what we want to look at first here is liquidation. Let me just go ahead and quickly pull up one more thing here, and then we'll go ahead and go from there. And when we look at liquidation, folks, if you're not familiar, just to kind of reiterate, some people are always curious what it means. It's not an exact science, but it does help us understand the general consensus of where people are hedged the most. Okay, so there are a lot of people taking longs, a lot of people taking shorts. What the deal? So the last 7 days on the left-hand side, this last week's worth of trading, we can see a lot of shorts are heavy at 36 to 38 cents. Okay, and these are higher leverage trades because the deeper the red, the more volume, so to speak, and higher leverage increases the volume, right? So generally speaking, that's kind of where we're at there. That's a pretty significant resistance range for one, but also potential area of consideration for people who are the market makers that maybe want to move it up in that area. Okay. Again, the more often you test a level of support or resistance, the more likely it is to be broken. Having said that, 28 to 25 cents is that other range down below, roughly the same amount of concentration if you kind of add that all up together. So the truth is the macro here just doesn't look great. While there is more liquidation on the upside, there's still a heavier concentration from a larger perspective at this 28 to 26 cent range. So that seems highly indicative that that level may be retested here soon if Bitcoin retests 100,000 or lower. Okay, which I still think is pretty likely. We take a look here at SEI, a lot of high leverage longs, or just in general, more longs than shorts right now. This leads me to believe with this being kind of bullish for too long, in other words, we are at about 2.5 trading days worth of this much buying pressure, the likelihood of that getting rinsed or getting destroyed, whatever term you want to use to describe it, is fairly high. Okay, again, this does imply more people are taking longs than shorts, so generally you don't want to short into a scenario like this, but the same accord, if there's a lot of bearish signs on the charts and there's too many longs, what do you think they're going to happen to the longs? They're going to get destroyed. Again, I could be way off on that, but for the most part, that is a pretty consistent aspect of trading. Okay. Again, you want to go where the greed is, and generally speaking, market makers are going to move the price action opposite of what you think is logical. Having said that, though, 32, I'm just going to round up and say 32 cents is the second or tertiary most amount of volume we see here so far. A lot of folks are still heavy at 29.7, roughly 30 cents, so good profit there. So again, if I'm going to consider shorting, I usually like to short to liquidation ranges, but just before. In other words, I'm not going to short to 25 cents. I would maybe consider 31 or 30 cents even as that consideration, because it's just above that point of control or open interest. Right? That's the concept. Other way you look at it here, we got a decent amount of support at the 32 cent range. We lose that though. I think 31/30 makes a lot more sense. All that being said here, Bitcoin is on this way down. If you're not familiar, just to give you some perspective here, Bitcoin's chart doesn't look great. The likelihood of further downside is higher. We may come up to fill our fair value gap at 104, but even though we've broken our descending trend line, I still don't love the way that this chart looks. There's a lot more bearish signs than bullish signs on Bitcoin's chart, and it's just not pretty. Again, mainly because there's tons of liquidation on the downside, and that increases the odds of further downside for Bitcoin. Okay, so SCI, what are we looking at here? Well, let's go ahead and just draw out some trend lines, kind of see where we're at. I'm going to go ahead and add our SMAs, and just recognize that, again, depending on how you want to draw out your trend line, I'm kind of keeping it tight here. It's concurrent with the 20-day SMA. You can kind of see that there. That's a pretty obvious resistance range for us. Smaller time frames will probably reflect that, but I generally like to put my my trend lines on larger moving averages, which is the 50 here. That's that orange line. So that's more realistic to me here in that sense where we're at. Having said that, we're under 50 on the RSI. That's a bearish sign. Money flow index is low. While you can see a pivot sometimes off this 30/20 range, that implies people are selling more than they're buying. Even though we have local liquidation to the upside, this implies that you're going to get swept pretty hard here. Okay, so I don't really like the concept of taking a long right now. I mean, you don't take a long into a descending trend, first of all, but second of all, you don't take it because everyone else is, because it's been too high for too long. Again, anytime you have liquidation delta in the same direction for more than 2 or 3 trading days, the likelihood of that ebbs and flows are higher. Because again, if you don't know this, like TD sequential, for example, you're generally going to see 9 4-hour candles in a row before the reversal. That's roughly 36 hours of continuation. It gives us, an approximate day and a half to 2.5 days worth of momentum in either direction. So oftentimes you'll see 2 to 3 days of movement in either direction. Right now, it looks like that turning point's coming. Either way, MACD is converging, but as you can see, we haven't broken above this resistance level we addressed earlier, roughly 34 cents. And even though stochastic's swinging up, we're still under a lot of key level resistances. So again, from a momentum standpoint, yeah, this looks good, right? And that's how momentum or breakout traders are going to look at things. But they don't really tell you how unsuccessful they are in most cases. We're under 50 in the 20-day SMA, not a favorable sign. We can see this obvious support turned resistance here with our point of control at 34 cents. So again, a lot of stuff above us, not really looking ideal here. We can see we're under 50 on the RSI, money flow index pulling back, stochastic swinging down, MACD diverging. Every single one of these signs is very bearish. Okay, there's nothing here that's like, oh, great, we're gonna recover. Keep in mind, you can see sometimes where local highs like this, for example, can work out as new lows. So there's a potential pivot here coming up, right where we're at, 31.5. But again, do you really want to take a long into a bearish type of trend? Do you want to drive into oncoming traffic? I mean, if you're the kind of person that, that's what you do, that's how you get a thrill in life. Maybe you're the kind of person who likes to go, rock climbing with no tether. Those are things that maybe you should consider. But honestly, from a conservative standpoint, there's nothing here really saying we're in good shape. While we are overextended to the downside, we might see a brief relief rally. I don't think it's going to be all that monumental. Hourly time frame, likely going to be confirming here, which it is. Oh, and this is almost the perfect kind of confirmation I like to look for when the cloud is breached and we have 3 to 4 hours worth of confirmation below that level. So this kind of reaffirms the fact that a long is a very high risk consideration. A short makes a lot more sense. You compare that with Bitcoin and how poorly it's moving and the heavy liquidation to the downside of this $100,000 mark. There's a distinct probability we're going to see further downside for this coin. So again, it's just kind of roughly where we're at here. I'm just telling you how it is. This is a very unbiased look, and that's always how I'm going to do it. So future reference, I'll post a playout chart here shortly on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. If you're watching this video, it's already up. Check that out. It will look a little something like this, where I provide you with insight on coins, on trading, etc. So that's kind of where we're at there. SEI does not have a good vote of confidence for me here right now. Okay, just make sure if you're going to consider taking a trade with it, low leverage, low position size. Don't get super greedy and try to go down to like 25 or 20 cents. Shoot for the liquidation ranges, which in general are going to be here between 29 and 25 cents. Just know we have a decent amount of support at this 30-cent range, so there's that as well. All right. Again, conservative and safe. That's how you want to trade right now. I hope that makes sense. I described it correctly. Thank you so much again for watching. Hope you have a great rest of the day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.